The Superpsychic Children in China. During the time I was working with Ing Bardor, I was reading about the research of Paul Dong and Thomas E. Raphael, who co-authored the book China's Superpsychics. According to them, the Chinese government tested over 100,000 children who they had found to be superpsychics who could see without using their eyes. The Chinese government had set up schools to accept these children when they found them into special training. Actually, they were both teaching and studying the children in order to understand this great mystery that was unfolding before their eyes. Mr. Dong reports how these Chinese children were performing incredible feats of psychic abilities while government scientists studied and controlled each experiment to make sure there was no deception. Here is an example of one such experiment. A bare table was set up in an open area. Video cameras were at the ready to record the experiment, and trained scientists were there to monitor any and all movement. One of the scientists placed a sealed and unopened bottle of pills like vitamins in the center of the table, and a coin or something small like that, perhaps a rock, towards the edge of the table. A small child would approach the table but would not get very close, to make sure he or she could not touch anything. With the child's psychic abilities, the pills would pass through the wall of the glass bottle and end up on the tabletop. Then the other object, the coin or the small rock that was sitting at the edge of the table, would float over to the empty but still sealed bottle and pass right through the glass wall, to be found inside the sealed bottle. This evidently is not too difficult a feat, since over 5,000 Chinese children were able to perform this experiment under government scrutiny. One little 6-year-old Chinese girl gave an unusual demonstration of her psychic abilities, with thousands of people in the audience. Before entering the theater, each person was given a rosebud on a stem with leaves. Then the little girl would enter the stage, wave her hands, and all the rosebuds in the room would open and become fully mature roses in just a few minutes. If this is a trick, it's a really good one. There were many different kinds of demonstrations of these children's abilities, but the bottom line was pretty easy to understand. Something extraordinary was taking place in China and in Mexico. So I had to find out whether this was a planet-wide phenomenon or whether it was just restricted to these two countries. Since both Mary Ann and Ing used the same inner screen to see, I had to ask Paul Dong, who had studied these children extensively, about the superpsychic children in China. Since 1985, there has been extensive research in China around the idea of higher consciousness and psychic phenomena in children that has made its way into such prestigious science magazines as Nature Journal and many others. This is something that has been well researched and documented. I telephoned Paul in California where he was living. We talked for about 2 hours, and towards the end of the conversation, I asked him the question that I was so anxious to find out about. Paul, what do the Chinese superpsychic children see when they have their eyes closed? I mean, what do they see in their minds? Paul started acting like Ing had when I'd asked her, saying that it was a little strange and changing the subject. Finally, after at least 10 minutes of prodding, Paul ventured to say, "Drunvalo, I have never seen what they see, but the children tell me they see some kind of an inner TV screen on which the images come to them." I immediately asked if there were smaller TV screens around the outer edge of the central screen. Paul said that he didn't know about that. The children had never told him. So now I knew that the Chinese psychic children also saw some kind of TV screen, but I wasn't sure if it was the same. Yes, this was very exciting. Perhaps what I'd stumbled upon really was a universal phenomenon, and I was now even more determined to find out the truth.